I'm going to try and actually just jump in and out on a video here today and make a longer one by putting it all together. If I can figure out how to transfer it over to my computer. Anyway, I am currently, like I said in my short just a minute ago, reading Dustbunnies, Life Under the Couch. Here's the book again. See if I can get it to not glare, because it's got a really nice glossy cover. Drive-Through RPG did a great job printing it on the whole. I mean, I really wish they would cloth back their glue bindings, but that is what it is with print on demand. So anyway, I am going to just, like I said, jump in and out, tell you a little bit more here and there throughout the day. So if I suddenly do that jump thing where you can tell I edited or paused and resume something, that's exactly what's going to be going on. But the first thing I wanted to kind of jump in with on a commentary for this, I am reading about the arcane backgrounds now in Dustbunnies, and as part of my rush to make sure that I understand this correctly and can be able to at least run the first and basic novice adventure tomorrow, I am reading through the manual and making sure that I just read everything that applies to novice characters. Well, one of the things that made me laugh really hard just now is in the arcane backgrounds, there are 3 kinds of arcane backgrounds you can choose from. You can choose Gifted, which gives you 1 power and makes it so your character can do one thing. And one thing I really got to give Dustbunny's crew a compliment on is I love that your characters are able to use their skill in their arcane background power to be able to support their allies or test their foes. Because in Dustbunnies, you don't fight. You use mischief and trickses. So that's going to be kind of fun. And you use defense to determine your parry stat. Because you can defend yourself. But usually that's along the ways of duck and cover and run. And that's okay, because you're a Dustbunny. And the one that made me laugh... Oh, the 3. I'm going to give you the 3. First is Gifted. So you can use the regular Gifted rules from Savage Worlds. Second is the Mind Over Matter. So if you guys get to know me as well over time, I am a sucker for psionics. I always have been. I don't know why. I mean, X-Men were my favorite because of Professor X and Jean Grey and Emma Frost and all the ones who had like psionic abilities, telepathy and telekinesis especially. And I don't know why. I've always loved it. And then, actually, one of my favorite characters, I got to go on a tangent here for a second, is I love Alfred Bester, or Mr. Bester in Babylon 5, played by Walter Kenning. That was his defining role. I mean, Chekhov got him his career, but Bester in Babylon 5 is one of the greatest villains / not villains. He's very much an anti-hero. I mean, he's very much out for his own people. He is for his own people. So maybe that's part of the reason why I like it. But anyway, the third one, that's the one that made me laugh. Number 3 is Ruber. Now, I didn't understand what Ruber was initially when I saw it on the character sheets and saw it in the descriptions and things like that. I was like, what's Ruber? What's Ruber? What's Ruber? And then today, when I read the description of the arcane background, it finally clicked. Ruber is somebody who is good at Rube Goldberg. Excuse me. Is good at Rube Goldberg style. Or sorry, Rube Oldrug. Yes, yeah, we got to use the Dustbunny's name for him. But basically, you're kind of a mad scientist and you can build machines with baubles that do effects. So this is great. So I just wanted to throw that out there real quick, and I will continue to check in with you as the day goes on as I read more. So I was correct about the way this is set up. It does use PowerPoints. And actually, Rubers don't start with any PowerPoints. They use baubles as their PowerPoints, essentially. However, they the way they use them is they use one PowerPoint or two baubles for a basic effect, four baubles for a useful effect, and eight baubles for a wow effect. And or the way that it's phrased in the book, I should say, is there's an easy peasy effect, that's two baubles, ordinary effect, that's four baubles, and let's roll. Now, rolling is a big concept in Dustbunnies, and it is how your characters not only move, but also they go for it. They roll. So if you're so going back to edges, there's a fast roller, which fast roller is how it's basically a fleet-footed edge from regular Savage Worlds, just renamed, and that's fine. And you can get it at novice rank, and you have to at least have an agility of a D6, but that means that your pace increases by 2, and your run die increases from a D6 to a D8. And I'm still deciding on how I would like to use a run die in a game where I'm doing a theater of the mind. I'm still working on that one, so I'll get back to you on that. But another one of the edges is free roller, and that means you just know your way around the host's home, and you can. It allows you to move without penalty on obstacles and rough terrain, basically slick floors and shag carpets. those are the kind of things that you run into as a dust bunny. So I will continue to just jump in and update more as I go. So I did neglect to put on this video the abilities of dust bunnies, and I should probably cover those a little bit. So they can, oh goodness, pardon this. And these abilities are included on the cards that I'm going to be handing out to everybody so they can kind of do a quick look over of Dust Bunnies and how to play it. And I'm going to make sure that I know the cards forward, backward, and upside down. Which, it's kind of interesting. They're printed so that you flip them over according to their long edge, not their short edge. Or, like you're flipping them sideways. Well, I'll have to show you in a little bit. But anyway, the positive abilities is assimilation. So Dust Bunnies get to make one natural healing roll every day, which means that they find more fluff under the couch and pack it back onto their bodies. They can burrow, essentially. They can duck down little cracks in the boards, and they can essentially burrow, but they're not making holes in the ground like Bugs Bunny could. That'd be a Bugs Bunny ability, is burrowing. Anyway, they have environmental resistance to electricity and cold, and they get a +4 to resist any attacks that involve those elements. They have no vital organs, so cold shots don't work. They don't have a head, they don't have guts, they don't have hands that are necessarily, there's no vital organs. So there's no effect from cold shots. And they're natural born pranksters. So they all begin play with a skill which is unique to Dust Bunnies, called Mischief. Now, it's very similar to a Mischief kind of skill or thing like that my friend wrong friend Tracy. I have two friends, Tracy Hickman and Tracy Sizemore. Tracy Sizemore has a Mischief kind of skill in her really cool adaptation of Harry Potter. And that does bring me to a point that I'll probably touch on in a bigger video, the idea of playing characters in a known IP. And there's something that she does very well that makes it so your characters that you play in the Harry Potter universe can actually do everything Harry Potter-ish that they want, but their outcome actually does not affect the grand story at all. And so maybe that could make it, that's maybe why Dune Adventures in the Imperium works, and that's maybe why you could do Star Wars, but you couldn't do it around the main time of Luke Skywalker. And I will, story-wise, talk about a few things, and I have talked about a few things about the fact that and those of you who are old grognards like me, who, when I say there are only 3.5 Star Wars films, that's what I'll stand by. And the half film can be debated as to whether it's Return of the Jedi or Rogue One. And I have a really cool idea on a role-playing game that I would love to play, or a story I would love to see, about a way to do a follow-up on Rogue One if you tweak a little bit of the ending of Rogue One and actually make a really cool story. But that's for another video. I'm still focusing here on dust bunnies. So here are the negative abilities that you have for dust bunnies. They have adversaries. Specifically, their main adversary are rodents, because rodents will capture and use they'll capture and use dust bunnies in their nests, alive or dead. So dust bunnies they suffer a -2 penalty to persuasion and mischief rolls when dealing with mice, rats, and other rodents. Specifically ones that make nests out of junk. They can't swim. They subtract 2 from their athletics on swimming rolls, and they instead just get sticky and waterlogged. So they can float. So they won't drown, but they will get waterlogged, and they're like when they come out of the water. They have to dry off for a bit. They do have an environmental weakness to the vacuum. And heavy wind, yeah, they suffer -1 actions when faced with those. And dust bunnies are tiny. And the hosts, which are the humans that live in the house, are huge compared to them. And they're pretty durable and resolute for their size, so they only actually reduce their toughness by 2 when calculating the derived statistics. So that means that if I have a vigor of 7, normally, or not 7, if I have a vigor of a d6, normally I would divide that in half, getting a 3, and then adding 2 to it to make my toughness. But dust bunnies don't get that +2. So they just have a toughness of 3. But when you get hurt as a dust bunny, you're only losing pieces of yourself. You can have those packed back on. So this is turning out to be a fun little setting, and I'm really enjoying it. So I will check back in again after I've read a little bit more. Hey, so I just found the Baubles and Other Finds page here. And this is on page 51 of the book. And it's got the list of things that can be the quest items or other things that you can include in the story. Things like foodstuffs, organic bits and bobs, like toenail clippings and acorn shells and small pebbles and things like that. Tiny toys, fasteners, gross stuff. Okay, so I guess that's where the toenail clippings come from, is gross stuff, not organic bits and bobs. So I guess organic bits and bobs covers natural things that might be just kind of left around a host's house. Memorabilia, shiny things. If the giant hosts are prone to lose them, such as coins, a concert button, small screw for eyeglasses, or lapel pins, those kind of things. And then there's unique baubles. So that's part of, and of course baubles are what are used by a ruber to be able to make their rube machines, their rube effects. So let's keep it going. And I'm back again. And the setting rules really are what define any Savage setting. And that's why when you want to make a savage setting, like say you want to take your favorite book and turn it into a savage setting, you want to make sure that you are focusing more on the feel of the story and less of the one-for-one mechanics matching. Because, yes, it is possible in most cases to have something in Savage Worlds match up sort of with your game. But, with another game from another setting. Maybe you really, really enjoy Night's Black Agents. And you want to savage that. If I were to do that, I would work at making sure that I was capturing the feel of it, pick up the story elements, but I would still use the Savage Worlds rules for the way that I did that. So when it comes to this setting, this is really cool because being as Dustbunnies aren't a kill it and take it stuff kind of thing, and the setting is not a kill it and take it stuff kind of thing, there's the fact that attacks equal trickses. And you can even have creative trickses. So it's kind of like creative combat from Savage Worlds, only more themed to this. So you can make a trick all about you. You can get a Benny bonus. You can, if you do a creative trick, you can do woot woot, which is your opponent is distracted, vulnerable, and shaken. You can shake them. You can be totally tricksy. You can have mind mischief, or you can just be on a roll and you get another full turn after that one. So, I mean, those are kind of setting rules that give Dustbunnies its own flavor as opposed to another Savage setting or just the straight Savage Worlds rules. And this is the reason why I pick up other settings for Savage Worlds. Because, yes, I could use Savage Worlds just for running any game that I wanted to. And I'm going to when I run my Star Wars game. However, I am also not just using the Savage Worlds rules when I put in extra special setting rules that make it so I get the flavor of what I'm after. As the world of Dustbunnies is something that's completely foreign to us, it's nice for them to have put in some stuff about the Dustbunny tactics and the way that they work. And there's even a fun little section in here that I gotta put in about Dustbunny ecology. That was really funny. And it talks about how Dustbunnies have always existed since humanity started moving indoors, kind of thing. And it's just, in caves, I guess. But Dustbunnies have always existed, and they are bands of them, and they tend to just kind of be roving little bands. But sometimes they will get together when there's a big threat. Maybe it's to finally drive out the mice or something like that from an area or something. Just more funnies. This is such a cute, wholesome setting. I really gotta hand it to Doghouse Rules and the guys who created it. I'm pulling up the title page here. So yeah, Christopher Warner and Dirk Warner, and then Carl Kiesler, of course. Just there's been some really good stuff here. So thank you guys at Doghouse Rules, guys and gals. You guys are giving me an awesome fun setting that I'm looking forward to running. So I'll be back in a little bit with my final thoughts. Well, maybe not my final thoughts, maybe just more thoughts. We'll see. There's just thoughts. So here I am a little bit later, and I have mentioned in previous shorts that I've put up about the yes and rule. And in the section Play with Your Kids of the Dustbunnies rulebook, which is really, really good. I mean, I put it right in there with the advice given for playing with young children in the Savage Worlds GM Guide. But one of the things that I really like here is if a player does something in the game, especially like a kid or something, and they, like, in Dustbunnies, since spiders are about the same size, maybe a little bit bigger than your Dustbunnies, they can be pretty bad. But, if the kid says, "I smashed the spider," you can say, "Okay, roll an unskilled check on fighting." And then let the story play out the way it plays out from there. However, you follow it up with, but if the next time you see a spider, you try and get their help, maybe you can get a Benny for that. So you offer bennies as a reward for the behavior you want to see at your table. So this is really got some good advice for just general game mastering. I'm really liking this book. Now getting into some specifics, I do also want to look at the fact that the playing with your kids section, really, it's got some good stuff. Again, regular GM advice, as well as specific to the game and playing with younger players. Incidentally, it's kind of funny. Every time I turn the camera back on and record a little bit more, it leaves a ring in my vision because of the light that I'm using. But hey, you guys are worth it. So there's a section in here that talks about give bennies for helping around the house. Now what's cool about that is that it finds a way of incorporating the imaginary role-playing game world into your actual life as families. And it can encourage younger players, as you're working on teaching them life skills, it can encourage them to learn life skills, like picking up and saying things like, uh-oh, looks like the Dustbunnies left out some puzzles. We'd better go pick those up real quick, huh? And so they can start to help you clean the house and pick up after themselves and learn good life skills that they're going to need. Another section that was really cool, and this one is more in the general GM category, so incidentally, that was page 66 for the helping to clean up after yourselves kind of thing. But this is pointing out that being as dust bunnies just do self-defense and tend to run away, that it's okay when things get violent to just run away, to leave. It's not a bad thing. And that is actually one of the best things that I think a good role-playing game can teach. I mean, admittedly, yes, a role-playing game can teach you that you have a character who's a fighter and they can defend themselves or maybe even attack and things like that. But sometimes it's just okay to leave the fight before it starts and not even stick around for it. So there's another section in here on personalizing things for your family. So you can actually use your own living room as the play space for your dust bunnies. That'd be a big space for something that's this big. And sometimes an inch is an inch. Sometimes you want to have a real life space where you can move your dust bunny characters. And it talks about making dust bunny characters, about making miniatures for your dust bunnies. And it also talks about making dust bunny characters that you'll be able to play in the game. But then there's another section right here. It's just a small little brief section on help your kids learn to be the host or the game master, because the game master is called host with a big H. The people in the universe of the Dust Bunnies, they're host with a little h. And so sometimes, if you got a kid that's tried it enough, you can help them start learning how to game master, which is, what this channel is all about. It's about helping you become a better game master. And so when I find cool things like this, I'm definitely going to share it along. Now, I'm reading the adventure, so I might pop back in with my thoughts on the adventure here in just a few minutes, but we'll see what happens. But I do have to compliment Doghouse Rules on making this an easy-to-read book, and it's just going really quick and nice. Okay, so I am reading this adventure, and yeah, one of the big enemies of excuse me, of the second act is the brush of doom, or the broom. And the broom always makes an improved sweep attack. That's pretty good. Okay, so I just finished the book, and now I can stop having the phone continue to run and eat my battery. But that's okay. It was worth it because I get to talk to you guys about the book and my adventure in learning dust bunnies. I got to show you over here. See that guy in the corner with the overalls on? Yep, that's Fluffernutter, and he's the one that my wife and I got to create because we got to back the adventure, or the book, the creation of this wonderful little, just cute, wholesome little game. And the thing is that, like I said before, it's wholesome. It's maybe even a little nice change up for grown-ups to be able to play something where you can be silly. Because, yes, we're playing Let's Pretend. That's what we're playing when we play a role-playing game. We're playing Let's Pretend. And role-playing is how we learn to function in society. That's just one of the things about how humans function. So we can also learn consequences of poor decisions. But the biggest thing is that once in a while it's nice to just not have to worry about life and death and just worry about whether or not we pulled off the trickses. So my overall, it's not necessarily a review of Dustbunnies, but my overall takeaway on Dustbunnies is the guys at Doghouse Rules, you guys did a great job. And I think that this is one of the best little settings that I've seen. And I really hope that I do get a chance to run it tomorrow. If I don't, that's okay. I've got it in my pocket, and maybe I'll run it for one of the grown-up nights and just really cause some fun. Or maybe I'll be able to run it for one of the teen tables one of these nights. But regardless, this setting is definitely one I'm glad I paid on the Kickstarter for it, because it's allowed for me to learn a fun little setting and learn some other ways of approaching some things. So, yeah, that's where I'm going to end this review. And I'm not, like I said, not necessarily a review, but just taking you along with me as I did a read through and got ready for a game that I might run tomorrow, I might not. But that also shows that if you take some time, take a couple hours, read the book, and look into it, you can figure out how to run any game, and you can do it in really quick succession. You can skip parts that you don't necessarily need for novice characters, and then just run with it. And the great thing about Savage Worlds, and I will throw this out there, is that Savage Worlds makes it so a novice character can still most decidedly affect a story. You can stand a novice character next to a legendary character, and the novice character will still be able to do something against even a legendary opponent, even if it's just do a support role to help their legendary friend. That's where sidekicks come in. So, regardless, I still end this like I always end it. And this is an honest truth. The world is a better place because you're in it. I love you, and I'm hoping that you stick around so that I can game with you at my table.